He picked up his brush and drew a single line on the map. Not where to attack, where to stand. He watched the Chu army march for 3 days. They moved fast. Their armor gleamed. They looked unstoppable. Sun Tzu did not meet them on the field. He had already won the day before they arrived. His soldiers were rested, positioned on the high ground with the sun behind them. The Chu army arrived exhausted, and the battle lasted 27 minutes. Sun Tzu wrote, "The victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won." Most people read that and think it is a riddle. It is not. It is the difference between pushing and positioning, between forcing and preparing, between fighting blind and fighting certain. You have been doing the opposite your entire life. You fight first. You hope for victory. You push harder when things get hard. And then you wonder why you are exhausted and the problem is still there. Sun Tzu understood that force is what you use when you have already lost. Not because force is weak. Because if you need to force something, you did not position yourself correctly. The river does not force its way through the mountain. It flows around it. The general who wins does not fight harder. He fights earlier. He sets the conditions. He makes the enemy's defeat certain before a single arrow is fired. You are not losing because you are weak. You are losing because you keep fighting battles you could have won before they started. The work happens before the work. The victory happens before the victory. And you keep skipping the before. You think the fight is where the win lives. The fight is where the win is revealed. The win was decided days ago, weeks ago, years ago. You just did not know it yet. You have been trained to believe that effort is the only thing you control. So you work harder. You stay later. You push through. And when something resists, you push harder. That is not strategy. That is desperation. And desperation has a smell. The enemy can smell it. Your boss can smell it. They know you have no position. They know you are just applying force. And they will wait. Because force exhausts itself. Position does not. Think about the last time you tried to force something. A deal? A relationship? A habit? You pushed. You pleaded. You tried every angle. And nothing moved. You were not weak. You were positioned wrong. The deal was never going to close because you did not build trust first. The relationship was never going to heal because you did not listen first. The habit was never going to stick because you did not design your environment first. You fought the battle. You lost the battle. And you never even knew there was a battle before the battle. Sun Tzu wrote that the skillful fighter puts himself in a position where defeat is impossible, not where victory is guaranteed. Where defeat is impossible. That is a different question entirely. Victory requires the enemy to make a mistake. Defeat requires you to make a mistake. You cannot control the enemy. You can control yourself. So stop trying to win. Start trying not to lose. And the winning will take care of itself. You keep measuring yourself by how hard you try. That is a trap. Effort without position is just exhaustion. The soldier who runs farthest is not the one who wins. The soldier who stands on the high ground does not need to run. He needs to wait. And when the enemy arrives, tired and blind, the battle is already over. Sun Tzu said, "Seek battle after the victory has been won." Most people never understand that sentence. You have been reading it for 2,500 years and still getting it wrong. But here is what most people get wrong. They think positioning is passive. They think it means waiting for something to happen. That is not what Sun Tzu meant. Positioning is active. It is choosing the ground before the enemy arrives. It is resting your soldiers while the enemy marches. It is building the thing before you need it. Positioning looks like doing nothing. But it is the hardest work there is. Because it requires patience. And patience is the thing you refuse to learn. The struggle is not that you cannot win. The struggle is that you keep showing up to fights you have already lost because you did no work before the fight. You think the fight is where the work happens. The fight is where the work is tested. The work happens in the silence, in the preparation, in the positioning, and you have been skipping the silence for years. Sun Tzu wrote that the general who wins makes many calculations before the battle. He does not guess. He does not hope. He calculates. He measures the ground. He counts the soldiers. He studies the weather. He knows where the sun will be at dawn. He knows how far the enemy must march. He knows how much food they carry. And then he positions himself so that when the enemy arrives, they are already defeated. They just do not know it yet. That is the transformation. You stop showing up unprepared. You stop hoping for luck. You start calculating. You start measuring. You start asking the questions before the battle, not during it. What is the ground? Where is the high point? Where will the sun be? How tired will they be? What do they have that I do not? What do I have that they do not? These are not military questions. They are the questions you refuse to ask about your own life. You want to know why you keep losing? Because you keep fighting battles you have not prepared for. You apply for jobs without building skills. You ask for raises without delivering results. You try to change habits without changing your environment. You show up to the fight and hope. That is not strategy. That is gambling. And the house always wins. He knew this because he proved it. Before the Battle of Boju, Sun Tzu did not charge. He calculated. He measured the Chu supply lines. He counted their soldiers. He waited until they were tired and divided. And then he struck. The battle lasted minutes. The preparation lasted months. You want the minutes? You refuse the months. And then you wonder why you are still losing. But Sun Tzu had one more layer to this. The thing most generals never understood. The thing that separated him from every other commander in history. So here's where you are right now. You have been losing battles you could have won. Not because you are not trying hard enough. You are losing because you are trying hard at the wrong time. You are fighting when you should be positioning. You are pushing when you should be waiting. Sun Tzu said the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won. That means the victory is not in the fight. The victory is in the preparation. The soldier on the high ground did not get there during the battle. He got there the night before. The fight is just the moment when everyone else finds out what you already knew. The version of you that fights first is the version of you that loses. The version of you that positions first does not lose. Because the battle is over before it begins. The enemy arrives tired. You are rested. The enemy is desperate. You are calm. You do not need to fight harder. You need to position earlier. You need to do the work before the work. The preparation no one sees. The calculation no one hears. The silence where victory is built. That is where Sun Tzu lived. And that is where you will win. The high ground is not a place. It is a decision you make before anyone else arrives. You stop fighting first. You position first. And the battle ends before it begins. I position before I fight. I position before I fight. I position before I fight.